Alright, welcome to the next lesson, and in this lesson we're going to be talking about this thing called the discriminant. So last lesson we did about the quadratic formula. So this is the quadratic formula. Now discriminant is a special property of quadratic formula, and it's equal to b squared minus 4ac, which you can see it's this little part that's inside the square root. Okay, that's a handy tool that allows us to do a few calculations on quadratic equations. So let's just dive in and do a couple of examples and talk about what the discriminant is. So we did this last lesson. So find the x-intercepts of this. Okay, so if you try factorize normally, which you won't be able to factorize. So what we're going to do is use the quadratic formula to solve this question. So x-intercepts, so we make y 0. So 0 is equal to 3x squared minus 6x minus 2. Right? So of course, if you try factorize, you can't do it. So use quadratic formula. A value is 3, b value is negative 6, and c value is negative 2. So then we use the quadratic formula. So negative b, so 6 plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. So again, we did this last lesson. It's the same thing. Over 2 times a, so 2 times 3. So let's just start simplifying now. If you want, pause the video and have a go yourself because we did it already. It's going to be 36 minus, no, plus because it's two negatives, 8 times 3 is 24 over 6. So then simplify 6 plus or minus square root of 60. I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm not going to simplify this set or anything. I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay. What do you notice? Which part is our discriminant? Like I said, the discriminant is the part that's inside the square root. So if our discriminant, in this case, is 60, right? Our discriminant is 60. So if our discriminant in this case was bigger than 0, right? How many solutions do we have? Well, if we split this up, there were two solutions. X is equal to 6 plus root 60 over 6, and x is equal to 6 minus root 60 over 6. Right, so you've got two solutions. So pretty much the rule is this. If your discriminant is bigger than 0, you're going to have two solutions. Okay, so that's one rule. Let's keep going. Again, same question. Find the x-intercepts for this. So you make y 0, same thing, negative 2x squared, 12x minus 18. Use quadratic formula because if you try factorize, you won't be able to do it. A is negative 2, b is negative 12, c is negative 18. Okay, so let's use it. X equals negative b. Again, pause the video, have a go if you want to do it yourself. You probably should. B squared, so negative 12 squared, minus 4 times a is negative 2 times c is negative 18. Over 2 times a, so 2 times negative 2. Let's do it. 12 plus or minus 12 squared, 12 squared is 144. 4 times 2 is positive 8. Positive 8 times 18 is, 8 times 8 is 48. And it's going to be negative 144. Okay, you can do what I recommend if you got big numbers. Do the simple calculation. Negative 18 times 2 is negative 36. And negative 36 times 4 is, positive 36 times 4, negative 4 is negative 144. So just do it step by step. There's massive multiplications. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Okay, what do you notice here? What's 144 minus 144? Well, it's 0. X is equal to 12 plus or minus square root of 0, right? So what was our discriminant? Remember, discriminant is the thing that's inside the square root. Our discriminant in this case was equal to 0, right? It's equal to 0. And how many solutions do we end up with? Well, because it's plus square root of 0 is just 0, right? Square root of 0 is just 0. So 12 plus or minus 0 over negative 4. Now plus 0 minus 0 is nothing, right? It's gone. So you have x is equal to 12 on negative 4, which is negative 3, right? So how many solutions do we have now? We only have one solution, therefore one solution. When does that happen? If discriminant is 0. So again, you see the difference. If our discriminant is positive, we had 2 solutions. Okay, let's keep going. One last one. 0 equals 2x squared plus 8x plus 10. Again, if we try factorize, you won't be able to. A is 2, so use quadratic formula. B is 8, and C is 10. Okay, we'll start. Negative b, so negative 8 plus or minus square root of b squared. 8 squared minus 4 times a times c over 2 times a, so 2 times 2. So x equals negative 8 plus or minus square root of 64, sorry, minus 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 10 is 80 over 4. Okay, x equals negative 8 plus or minus square root of negative, what's that? 64 minus 80. It's going to be negative 16. Okay, what do you notice here? What's our discriminant now? Our discriminant is negative 16. That's our discriminant. So is it bigger than 0? Equal to 0? No, it's less than 0. So what happens if our discriminant is less than 0? If you remember, you cannot square root a negative number. We looked at this last lesson. We cannot square root a negative number. That means our solution is undefined. Because of the square root of a negative number, it doesn't make sense. So if our solution is undefined, how many solutions do we have? Well, 0. We have no solutions. 0/no solutions. Okay, so we just looked at all three of the different rules of discriminant. So the first one was, if discriminant is bigger than 0, you have 2 solutions. If discriminant is equal to 0, how many do we have? We have 1 solution. And if discriminant is less than 0, we have 0 solutions. Okay, that's it. Pretty much the entire rule. So, why is this useful? Well, let's say we have a question like this. It just says find the number of x-intercepts. So it's not asking for what the x-intercepts are, it's just asking how many x-intercepts there are. Okay, that's it. That's all the question is asking for. Well, we use the discriminant to find that. So first we find the discriminant. Remember the equation for discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Right? So it's the same. This is a. A is still what a in this case? It's a coefficient of x squared. A is 1. B is negative 4. So same a, b, and c values. C is 8. Okay? So using those values, we can find discriminant. Discriminant is b squared. So negative 4 squared minus 4 times a is 1 times c is 8. Okay. So discriminant is equal to 16 minus 8 times 4 is 32. Okay. What do you notice here? Discriminant is negative 16. So how many solutions do we have? What are the number of x-intercepts? Oh, I forgot a quick step here. To find x-intercepts, you make y 0. So 0 is equal to x squared minus 4x plus 8. So that's a step. My bad, I forgot. So from this, we can get the discriminant and so on. So our discriminant is negative 16. That means which of the 3 rules do we use? Well, negative 16 is less than 0. So then how many solutions we have? 0 solutions. Okay, that's it. So they say, so pretty much for this question, you say because discriminant is less than 0, 0 solutions. 0 solutions. That's it. Okay. Pretty much try it yourself. Okay, have a go. Okay, and these are the answers. I hope you got them. We'll go through a couple. We'll go through, let's do A and D. Okay, let's do A first. So A. Again, let's just use discriminant. So this is A, this is B, this is C. Discriminant is b squared, so negative 12 squared minus 4 times A, which is 4, times C, which is 7. So it's going to be 12 squared is 144 minus 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 7 is 112. Let me just double check that. Yes, I'm pretty sure that's it. So discriminant is going to be 32. 32. So how many solutions? Well, our discriminant here is bigger than 0. It's a positive number, right? So it's bigger than 0. So therefore, we have 2 solutions. That's the rule. Okay, you can see that's the answer. All right. One more. D, I said we're going to do. So D, again, this is A, this is B, this is C. Discriminant is b squared, so 12 squared minus 4 times A is negative 2 times C is negative 22. So discriminant over here is 12 squared is 144. Okay, negative 4 times negative 2 is 8, and 8 times negative 22 is negative 176. So 144 minus 176. Okay, discriminant is going to be, so negative 32. So what's our discriminant? It's less than 0, so therefore 0 solutions. That's it. Okay, hope you understand. So, next question. It's a little bit different now. So it's giving us a parabola, it's giving us a pretty much equation, right? Which is this. And it's saying, what are the values of m? So m is this little thing here. What are the values of m that you have 1 solution, 2 solution, and no solutions? So firstly, it's Simple. What's the rule for one solution? We know that discriminant has to be 0. The rule for two solutions, discriminant bigger than 0. And no solutions, discriminant less than 0. Okay, so step 1 is find the discriminant of that equation. So what's our a value? A value is -2. What's our b? B is 4. And c is actually this whole thing. It's the whole number. So m is just the whole number. It could be 1, 2, 3, or 4. We don't know. So it's just a number. So if it's just a number, that's a whole c value. This whole thing. Okay, to m. So then we can find discriminant. Discriminant same as always. B squared minus 4 times a times c to m. Okay, let's find it out. Simplify. 4 squared is 16. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16m. So this is our discriminant. Right. Part A says find the values of m for which you have one solution. For well, when do we have one solution? Like I said, discriminant has to be 0. What's our discriminant? Our discriminant is this. So pretty much 16 plus 6m has to be equal to 0. That's what the question is saying. Discriminant is 0. So then you take 16 to the other side. So solve for m pretty much is -16. And then m is equal to -16 divided by 16, which is -1. Right? So what does this -1 mean? This pretty much means if m is -1, then you're going to get how many solutions? One solution. Okay, one solution. Why? Because if m is -1, your discriminant is going to be equal to 0. So that's the logic. So if m is 1, your discriminant is 0, you get one solution. Okay, next, two solutions. So same, we already got the discriminant, right? Discriminant, remember, is 16 plus 16m. So now it's saying for two solutions, discriminant, what's the rule? Discriminant has to be bigger than 0, right? In other words, 16 plus 16m has to be bigger than 0. That's all. So the same thing. It's bigger than -16. M is bigger than -1. So again, same logic here. If m is a greater value than -1, then your discriminant is going to be bigger than 0. Bigger than 0. Alright? If your discriminant is bigger than 0, you're going to have two solutions. That's the logic. Simple as that. And lastly, no solutions. So I think it's pretty obvious how to do this one. So have a go. I'll do it. Discriminant less than 0. So our discriminant is 16 plus 16m is less than 0. And if you solve all that, I'll just keep the working out because it's the same. M is less than -1. So again, same logic. If m is less than -1, your discriminant is less than 0. Therefore, you have 0 solutions. Simple as that. Okay. Pause the video. Have a go yourself. Go for it. Okay, we'll do this one together because again, let's just find the discriminant quickly. So discriminant is going to be, so firstly we need the a, b, and c values. This is a, this is b, this is c, so we'll write it down. A is m over 2, so it's the whole thing. Right? So coefficient of x squared is m over 2, right? B is -10 and c is 5. Let's find the discriminant. It's going to be b squared, so -10 squared minus 4 times a is m over 2 times c is 5. Okay, it's going to be 100 minus 4. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 4 twice, and 2 times 5, 2 times 5 is 10, and 10 times m is m, so 10m. Like that, so that's our discriminant. Again, same rules for one solution. So for part A, discriminant is equal to 0. So 100 minus 10m equals 0. So -10m equals -100. M is equal to 10. So again, same logic. If m is 10, discriminant will become 0. And because discriminant is 0, you have one solution. That's it. Okay, next, part B. Part B is saying two solutions. So two solutions, discriminant is bigger than 0. That's our rule. So 100 minus 10m, which is our discriminant, has to be greater than 0. -10m bigger than -100. So what do you notice here? You might have made a mistake if you didn't do this step. Is when you divide by a negative number, so -100 divided by -10, when you're doing linear inequality, so when there's an inequality sign, what do you have to do? Well, you have to flip the sign around, right? Because we divided by a negative number. So in fact, this case, m is going to be less than 10. That's the answer. So same logic. If m is less than 10, discriminant will be bigger than 0. So you'll have two solutions. That's it. Okay, so last one, C. I think you can probably guess you just need to flip that sign around. So it'll be m is bigger than 10, but let's just do it quickly. Discriminant bigger than 0. 100 minus 10m, sorry, not bigger than 0, my bad. Less than 0 for no solutions, because part C was no solutions. So less than 0, so this has to be less than 0. Negative 10m less than negative 100, because you're dividing by a negative number, m is bigger than 10. M bigger than 10. So if m bigger than 10, you have discriminant less than 0, which will give you 0 solutions. Okay, that's it guys. So I hope you understand discriminant. It'll come very in handy, especially in a lot of weighted problems it comes up as well. So make sure you understand pretty much all you gotta remember is these 3 rules. Bigger than 0, 2, equals 0, 1, less than 0, 0. Simple as that. Okay, that's it for this lesson. I'll see you soon.